Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for some spying? This is Incognita by Clay. This is the pre-alpha version they showed at PAX. It just came out on early access on Steam. Very early access, just bear that in mind. So let me show you what they had available. What is Incognita? This is a game about corporate espionage, where you use a variety of agents in order to complete your objectives. It plays fairly similar to XCOM. However, it has stuff like action points. I know. I was surprised too. I thought they had been abolished as a terrible game mechanic. But as it turns out, no. They're actually a good game mechanic. Just want to remind you of that. They're actually great. So, in this particular mission, we are going to attempt to rescue an agent and then escape. How will we do that? We'll do that by sneaking and having some spy-like music in the background. So, what exactly is this game about? Well, it is about espionage, and it's about, to some degree, combat. However, unlike something like XCOM, it does have a fair degree of combat avoidance. This is a game that encourages stealth. Now, how does it do that? Well, you might notice an alarm up to the top right corner. That's there for a very good reason. Essentially, the corporate security will cotton on to the fact that you are trying to steal all their valuable things. And they will eventually trip the alarm, and there will be various other nasty consequences. So that means that not only speed is of the essence, but also not slaughtering everybody can be a pretty useful way of not raising the alarm. Every time you kill somebody, their heartbeat sensor goes off and actually adds more to the alarm clock quicker than it otherwise would. So, you need to just be a little bit careful about such things. Now, mechanics-wise, it works in a similar way to XCOM in the sense that the game has Overwatch. As you can see right there, I just took down a security guard as he came through there. Admittedly, he did detect me in the process, so that's a point on the alarm, which is not too good. He's knocked out with the stun dart right now. Don't want to kill him. I can, but I don't want to kill him quite yet. He's only out for 3 turns, though. We have to be a little bit careful. So it's got stuff like Overwatch, and it's got stuff like the cover system. What you'll also notice is the game has a facing system. You can choose which direction to face in. And since it's an isometric game, that makes a great degree of sense. I can actually point in that direction. It's not just a 4-directional facing, it's actually 8, which is pretty good. And then we shall take him down with the stun dart, and down he goes. There we go. Now, aside from the combat and the various different abilities of your different agents, as well as their equipment, you also need to be concerned with espionage. We're talking about getting passcards to open various things. Not just that, but also accessing terminals to hack, for instance. Getting this agent from out behind the laser grid could be tricky. However, we do, in fact, have an agent that is rather good at dealing with such things, and he will be able to use his hacking abilities to get through there, assuming that we have the right kind of access. So I'm going to hijack this particular console. By hijacking that console, that is going to give me a point that I can use here in this security overlay to override something. The question is what? Well, obviously I want to override the laser emitter, if it's all possible. Now, I don't have enough CPU in order to break that entirely. I need to hijack more consoles in order to get that CPU runtime, which I can use to deal with that. But once that's happened, I will be able to override the laser emitters. And this is something you can do to a variety of different security devices. So, if you know that there's a camera around the corner, you can override the camera. I believe you can even maybe override the heartbeat sensors of these guys on the floor here as well. But since I don't have enough computers in range and enough CPU power to actually do that, I need to focus entirely on breaking my way through here. Now, you'll also notice here that the missions actually have choices. There are little random events that can happen. So, do I want to reveal my location, or do I wish to leave it alone? Well, me being the schmuck that I am, I decided, yes, I'll reveal my location, which does exactly what you would expect, which is like, oh, hey guys, we're in your building trying to steal all your kittens. It's probably not a good idea. So there we go, we can now turn the laser off and we can actually gain access to that agent there. So I think you get the idea from a fairly basic standpoint. And this is a fairly short level. They didn't really have a lot to show at PAX. They just had this one level, which takes about 10 minutes to play through. We're just going to rescue this agent, so we get a 3rd member of the party. But I like the mix of espionage with the tactical XCOM-style combat. I also like the fact that the interface is pretty damn good, especially for a pre-alpha. It makes it very, very clear as to where you can go. You move and then you pick exactly which direction you wish to face. The cover system works like XCOM, so it is fairly easy to understand. And then you have the standard kind of Overwatch. In this case, though, what I really like about it is that it gives a very visual indicator to the fact that there's an Overwatch, and also which direction you are actually pointing your Overwatch in, which is very important. You know, arcs of fire and directions in this game are pretty damn important. So, hey, I am overwatching in the direction of that door. I know this because my guns are pointing in the direction of the door. Yeah, I know, it makes a certain degree of sense, does it not? So I'm going to try and get out of here. However, I made a little bit of a mistake. I was thinking that these guys would get up and then wouldn't be able to immediately fire. And I was horribly, horribly mistaken. So those of you who play XCOM-style games and like the turn-based tactical stuff, also, I would imagine, like the immediate danger of such games. One of the coolest things about games like this is that you are in danger a lot, and you can die very, very quickly. Well, this is fairly similar. Let's skip forward a little bit and show you exactly what ends up happening. It is not pretty. So, they're up, and unfortunately not too groggy about it, because they actually get up on your turn, and then they have a full turn to shoot you in the back, which immediately results in 2 of my agents dying. Permanently. They are KO'd. You can get them back up, I believe. That is possible if you can get to them in, like, 1 turn, and that's assuming that you actually have a healing item. My guy over here, well, he kind of doesn't. He is the only one left. But he has a very particular set of skills. Skills that make him a nightmare for people like them. And he also has a sniper rifle, which is a rather useful tool to have. You can notice there, whenever you go to shoot, it will very clearly indicate who you're shooting at, and also give you information on crit chance and things like that. So he is down for the count. He will eventually die. That mechanic's quite important, because until he dies, he still has a heartbeat, until he bleeds out. So that alarm is not going to trigger until he's actually dead. So you do get a little bit of extra time there, which is always good. Now we can kind of finish them off. The game is pretty self-explanatory by looking at it, aside from looking at the way that the security hacking and systems work. That's a little bit unusual. But I think the combination of the stealth with the espionage and the combat makes it an intriguing possibility. This is a new kind of graphic style for Clay as well, who are pretty famous now for having a number of very interesting and unique aesthetics. You had the Shank series along with Mark of the Ninja that looked fairly similar, and then of course you have Don't Starve, which doesn't really fit in there anywhere, which is pretty cool. And now we've got this, which is a pulpy kind of graphic novel style of looking at things, which I like an awful lot. Actually reminds me a little bit of Evil Genius, only maybe the game's actually good. We will see. For what I've seen of it so far, it looks pretty damn promising. I have a decent amount of faith in Clay, specifically because they haven't really led me astray up to this point. Don't Starve, Mark of the Ninja, and of course both the Shank games are really, really good, and I'm glad to see Clay continuing to pump out these really interesting titles. This interests me more than any of their other games, I've got to say. You'll also notice that you can actually peek around corners, which it doesn't give you complete information, but it is very, very useful regardless. This is the one I'm interested in the most because it is a genre that I very much like. So this is looking really, really good. I am looking forward to getting my hands on the early access, and of course I will try to give you some information on that one. Down you go for the count, thank you very much, and we will be escaping out of that door momentarily. Incognita, ladies and gentlemen, a very short look at it. I will give you more coverage once the early access is more complete. This was filmed at PAX Prime 2013 and commentated at home. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Order